The year is 2024, a year that will be remembered for its harsh policies and the impact they have on countless lives. A shadow falls across the globe, casting a pall over nations and communities alike. It's a shadow of fear, of uncertainty, of families torn apart. The emotional toll is palpable. This is the reality of mass deportations, a growing crisis affecting millions. Detention centers are overflowing, and the lines at border crossings stretch endlessly. From the United States to the European Union, countries are enacting policies to remove migrants and refugees on an unprecedented scale. The scale of these operations is staggering. The reasons are complex, ranging from economic anxieties to political posturing. Governments cite security concerns and economic pressures as justifications, but one thing is clear: the human cost is immeasurable. The pain and suffering of those affected cannot be quantified. We're talking about real people here. People with hopes, dreams, and aspirations, parents separated from their children, families ripped apart in the blink of an eye, children left orphaned in countries they barely know, their sense of security shattered, dreams of a better life dashed against the rocks of harsh immigration policies. The numbers are staggering. The hopes of many are being crushed. In the first half of 2024 alone, EU countries issued over 96,000 repatriation orders. Each order represents a life disrupted. The United States, under the newly re-elected Trump administration, is gearing up for a wave of deportations that could reach millions. The scale is unprecedented. This isn't just about numbers, though. It's about people. It's about the lives that are being upended. This is a story of broken promises and shattered lives, a story of dreams deferred and futures stolen. It's a story that demands our attention. It demands our action. We cannot turn a blind eye to this crisis. Let's be blunt. Donald Trump's stance on immigration is no secret. He campaigned on it. He won on it. His promises to crack down on illegal immigration resonated with many voters who felt that the system was broken and needed a strong hand to fix it. And now he's doubling down, pushing forward with even more aggressive measures. His new plan? Mass deportations on an unprecedented scale. The details are still murky, shrouded in the fog of political rhetoric and grandstanding. But the message is clear. If you're undocumented, you're not welcome here. The administration's stance is unyielding. Trump claims he's targeting criminals and bad hombres, those who pose a threat to public safety, but the reality is far more terrifying. Innocent families are caught in the crossfire. His plan could sweep up millions of undocumented immigrants, many of whom have lived in the U.S. for years, contributing to society in countless ways. They have jobs, families, and deep roots in their communities. They are integral parts of the American fabric. Yet, they're being treated like disposable pawns in a political game. This isn't just cruel, it's impractical and inhumane. The cost of rounding up, detaining, and deporting millions of people would be astronomical, straining resources and budgets. Experts estimate a price tag of over $300 billion, a staggering amount that could be better spent elsewhere. And that's not even factoring in the devastating impact on the economy, which relies heavily on immigrant labor. Trump's deportation agenda is a recipe for disaster, both morally and practically. It's a moral abomination and a logistical nightmare, creating chaos and suffering. It's time to call it what it is, un-American, and demand a more compassionate and sensible approach. Think this is the first time America's gone down this dark road? Think again. The ugly stain of mass deportations has sullied our nation's history before. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, we rounded up and deported hundreds of thousands of Mexican Americans. Many were U.S. citizens. Their crime? Being perceived as a burden during tough economic times. Fast forward to the 1950s and Operation Wetback. This shameful chapter saw over 1 million Mexican immigrants and their American-born children deported. The methods were brutal, the conditions inhumane, families were torn apart, lives uprooted. The echoes of these injustices still resonate today. Trump's deportation plan isn't new. It's a dangerous echo of America's past sins. It's a reminder that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Don't think this is just an American problem. The deportation epidemic is spreading like a virus across the globe. In Europe, countries are tightening their borders and cracking down on migration. France, Germany, the UK, all are grappling with the issue. France, for example, deported over 3,800 people in the second quarter of 2024 alone. Germany wasn't far behind. The reasons vary. Economic anxieties, fears about national security, a rising tide of nationalism and xenophobia. but the result is the same: people being uprooted, lives disrupted, families torn apart. This isn't just a European problem either. From Australia to Asia, countries are enacting stricter immigration policies and increasing deportations. The world seems to be closing its doors on those most in need of refuge. This isn't just a crisis of migration, it's a crisis of compassion, it's a crisis of humanity. Section 5. The human cost: families torn apart, dreams shattered. Let's not forget what's at stake here: human lives. Behind the statistics, the cold, hard numbers are real people with families, dreams, and aspirations. People like Maria, a single mother who fled violence in El Salvador and built a life in the United States. She works hard, pays her taxes, and dreams of a better future for her children. Yet she lives in constant fear of being deported, of her family being torn apart. Or take Ahmed, a Syrian refugee, who risked everything to escape the horrors of war. He arrived in Germany seeking safety, a chance to rebuild his life. But instead of finding refuge, he faces the constant threat of deportation, of being sent back to the very place he fled. These are just two stories among millions, stories of families separated, dreams shattered, lives uprooted. These are the real consequences of mass deportations. This is the human cost. Section 6. Economic fallout: a loss for everyone. The human cost is immeasurable, but let's talk about something a bit more tangible: the economic impact. Deporting millions of people isn't just morally wrong, it's economic suicide. Immigrants, documented or not, play a vital role in our economies. They fill jobs in key industries, from agriculture to technology. They start businesses, create jobs, and contribute billions in taxes. Deporting them would leave a gaping hole in our workforce, cripple industries, and devastate local economies. And don't forget the cost of the deportations themselves. The logistics of rounding up, detaining, and deporting millions of people would be astronomical. We're talking billions upon billions of dollars that could be better spent on education, healthcare, or infrastructure. Deportations aren't just bad for immigrants, they're bad for everyone. They're bad for business. They're bad for the economy. They're bad for the country. Section 7. A moral reckoning: the ethics of mass deportations. Let's be clear, this isn't just about economics, it's about who we are as a society. It's about our values, our principles, our very humanity. The decision to deport millions of people, to uproot lives and tear families apart, is a moral one. And it's one that demands serious scrutiny. We live in a world where millions are displaced by war, persecution, and poverty. They come to our shores seeking safety, opportunity, a chance at a better life. What kind of message do we send when we respond with mass deportations? What does it say about our values when we turn our backs on the most vulnerable among us? This isn't just about immigration policy, it's about human decency, it's about compassion, it's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Section 8. The fight for justice: challenging deportation policies. The good news? This isn't a done deal. People are fighting back. Across the globe, activists, lawyers, and everyday citizens are challenging these inhumane deportation policies. They're taking to the streets, filing lawsuits, and demanding accountability from their elected officials. In the U.S., organizations like the ACLU and the Southern Poverty Law Center are fighting tirelessly to protect the rights of immigrants. They're challenging the legality of Trump's deportation plan, providing legal aid to those facing deportation, and mobilizing communities to resist these unjust policies. In Europe, groups like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch are documenting human rights abuses, advocating for more humane immigration policies, and holding governments accountable for their actions. This is a fight for justice, for compassion, for the soul of our nations, and it's a fight we cannot afford to lose. Section 9. What you can do: taking action for a more humane future. This might seem overwhelming. You might feel powerless, like the issues are too big for any one person to tackle. But here's the truth: you're not. You have more power than you think. Every single one of us has a role to play in creating a more just and compassionate world. It starts with small actions that collectively make a big impact. We can all make a difference. Every act of kindness, every moment of advocacy adds up. Here are a few things you can do. Get informed. Knowledge is power. Educate yourself about the issue. Read articles, watch documentaries, and listen to podcasts. Follow organizations working on the front lines. Speak out. Use your voice to raise awareness. Talk to your friends, family, and colleagues about this issue. Engage in meaningful conversations. Write to your elected officials and demand more humane immigration policies. Your voice matters. Support organizations. Donate to or volunteer with organizations providing legal aid, social services, and advocacy for immigrants. Your time and resources can make a huge difference. Show up. Attend rallies, protests, and community events in support of immigrants' rights. Your presence sends a powerful message, and community events in support of immigrants' rights. Stand in solidarity. Remember, this isn't just about them. It's about all of us. It's about our shared humanity. It's about all of us. It's about the kind of world we want to live in. It's about the kind of world we want to live in. A world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. A world where everyone, regardless of where they were born, has the opportunity to live with dignity and respect. A world without walls, without borders, without fear. A world where compassion and understanding prevail. Let's build that world together. Let's take action today for a better tomorrow.